Welcome back to Bachcho Ki Baatein. I want to start with one very hilarious question. How many of you have to actually run behind your child for almost half an hour, 40 minutes to get like one bite in their mouth? I'm sure बहुत लोग होंगे जिनको ये भागम दौड़ी करनी पड़ती होगी. For some time we were also one of them. So today we thought, why not talk about food? In terms of the domain of physical development, today we are going to get you some tips on really getting amazing food done, but at the same time ऐसी techniques जिससे हम अपने बच्चे को बहुत ही beautiful तरीके से खिला सकें. And this becomes especially critical when you are in that entire phase of 6 to 8 months when the child is, weaning out of breastfeeding, like complete breastfeeding, and coming back to a combination of outside food, solids, and breastfeeding if it is going to continue. For us, this was a tough period because Sanvi was not ready, and while she used to try different things, we used to realize that midway through the food she used to go back to Dudu, and that used to really concern us because the right amount of nutrition is extremely important. The child has started moving, there is more activity happening, and so the right amount of nutrition is important. We tried a couple of things, so today's video is going to be a combination of some science and some experiences. So going back to the research part of it, want to highlight that like me or like you, there are about 30% children across the globe, 30% parents across the globe who actually suffer taking their children to solid foods. So this is a struggle for a lot of us. So just if you are feeling stressed about it, don't, because there are many of us who are going through the same thing. Now, if we have to think about what we could do, today we have 3 techniques for you. The first and the foremost technique is something that a pediatrician told us. I want to use Marathi here because the impact of it will be felt better. She used to say, "Tila tumcha tatat घेऊन बसा," which essentially meant that when you sit for dinner, have a common dinner time. Don't try to feed her first and then have your dinner. So as a family, start having dinner together. And we realized how well Sanvi took to especially dal chawal, because that's something that we eat every day. That is our dinner, some form of dal and chawal. It could be khichdi, it could be dal chawal, etc. But for her, it became a routine that evening time is dal chawal time, and that really helped. The second thing that we thought really helped was, how do we make food an experience? How do we make it more sensory for her? And we've always realized that Sanvi is very, very visual. So what we started doing was, we started decorating our dining table. If we are eating together, having a combination of fruits, some form of soup, some form of really nice starters, and decorating the table in the form of a buffet, like the way you would have in some fancy restaurant. And that really worked because those colors, the nice dishes, cutlery that we were using, that became a hook for Sanvi. The third thing that I want to really highlight, and because I did it myself, what is very important to understand is, like us adults, children also have very strong taste buds. So how is it that you really keep revamping your menu is something that has to be taken into consideration. And while all the nutrition is important, how do you make it more attractive, add different forms of flavor to the food? That is extremely important. I'll give you an example. For us, when Sanvi was between 8 to 10 months old, she ate a lot of cutlets, different form of cutlets, paneer, mixed vegetable, beetroot, different forms of cutlets. At some point, we only decided to just push it a little, and we introduced dosas to her, and dosas, chila, that became her food. After a few more days, it was dalia. So what I'm trying to say is, keep a combination of recipes in your kitty, and keep introducing it to the child so that you don't feel exhausted, and the child also gets some variety. Connecting to this, it is said that before a child really starts liking an item, typically they refuse it for almost 8 to 10 times. So if you're getting continuous refusals, you're not the only one. This is a very natural process, but keep exposing the child to that food and flavor. That's all for today, but we would love to understand some interesting recipes that you've been trying with your child, or techniques that you've been trying. Put your comments to the video. And stay tuned to Bachcho Ki Baatein. We are going to come up with really cool, interesting content. Thank you.